All right, I'm delighted to introduce our two next speakers from Lam Research, and they're going to be speaking about how they have enabled strategic accountability to support a $1 trillion WFE market. First, I'm going to introduce Charles Jeffries, who's the Senior Manager of Supply Chain Operations at Lam. Charles has 24 years of experience in operations in the semiconductor industry with Lam Research. He currently oversees the Lam management system, supplier, developer, and risk, business continuity plans, and other critical operations functions in the global supply chain management team. Joining Charles is Jason Roberts, who's the Senior Manager of Order Fulfillment, Global Operations at Lam Research. Jason has 22 years of operations experience across defense, aerospace, and semiconductor industries. And he currently is running the order fulfillment team with a focus on global project management, standardization, and continuous improvement. Please welcome Charles and Jason.
Good morning. Good morning. All right. So before we kick off here this morning, I have to say, wow, what a great event this has been. Right? Great people. We've got Emily back here doing some great art, great location, and a lot of great stories, right? So the cool thing about these conferences is we quickly learn it's a very small world. As we start networking with each other and getting to know each other, we realize it's a very, very small world. Got to know Joel. Joel was a fighter pilot. He presented yesterday. I was an air weapons officer in the Air Force. I talked to Joel on the radio, probably multiple times while he was down at Tyndall. I had to track down Mary after her presentation yesterday. Loved her energy on stage. Turns out Mary's my neighbor. We live right down the street from each other. So we're going to be connected after this. Yeah, good stuff, right? So the other thing we learned as we got to know each other through the socials, through some good food, through a couple of drinks, we got to learn that our journeys are the same. Like, we have the same challenges. We have a lot of the same successes. Our journeys are very similar. So as Jason and I go through Lam Research and how we're enabling strategic accountability to support our $1 trillion WFE, we love acronyms at Lam, like a lot of companies, wafer fabrication equipment market. What you're going to see is a common theme. A lot of the things we're going to talk about, you've heard from the other presenters. You just heard from Anna. You heard from Chris earlier. You heard from Eric. You heard from Mary. You heard from Denise, right? Everyone that spoke at this conference, you're going to see a lot of common themes with our journey at Lam Research. So I'm going to open it up, talk a little bit about Lam Research. Who are we? What do we do? And a lot of people ask me, Charles, what is Lam? A lot of people think it's an acronym, right? We love acronyms. What is Lam? Well, one of our big competitors, Applied Materials, we like to share leaders across Lam and Applied Materials. So the running joke is Lam stands for Left Applied Materials. So we got a lot of applied material executives that work at Lam. But no, we're a global leader in wafer fabrication equipment, started by a gentleman by the name of David Lam, who was a very, very smart MIT graduate chemical engineer, founded our company in 1980. So we're really well known for etch, but we do a lot of other things in the wafer fabrication equipment market. But I want to say thank you to all of you, because whether you know it or not, indirectly, you're our customers. Everything that you buy, your laptops, your phones, your cars, they all have these chips in them. Any electronics, I can tell you, pass through one of our pieces of equipment that we manufacture at Lam. So we're in just about everything that you own, probably in that Oura ring that I think is really cool, by the way. I might get one of those. Thanks for that, Joel. But probably pass through our, some of our equipment. So we're in just about everything, and we're leading the way. We're one of the industry leaders in semiconductor manufacturing equipment. All right, so we're global, all over the world. So all those little green dots you see on the screen, that's where we have a location globally. So mostly Northern Hemisphere in North America, Europe, and Asia. And everywhere in all of those regions, we have implemented and are using Workboard to drive our strategic accountability within Lam and strategic execution. A little gee whiz stuff, we're about $17 billion a year. The reason I show this slide is if you're following world events, a big chunk of our revenue comes from the China region. And I think a lot of us know there's some geopolitical tensions in China right now. Well, we're actively working on the general trade license just expired, or is going to be expiring in 2025. And we're working collaboratively with our suppliers to figure out a way to get all of our latest technology out of China and our suppliers that we work with out of China. So we're using OKRs and Workboard to drive some of our alignment around what are the things that we need to get done very quickly as this license is expiring with what we can and can't do with China to protect that revenue at Lam. So a lot of OKRs going into that 39% of our revenue. Okay, a little bit more about Lam. So these are our major areas. We're very well known for being an etch company. We were founded as an etch company. Those are our three main product groups on the screen. We have our etch group, we have our deposition group, and our strip and clean group. These are our product groups that design and engineer our products. The group representing us today, my Lamely sitting right over here, and Kavya, who's sitting over here, we represent global operations, which is part of our service and support organization. So as a previous slide showed, we have 17,200-ish people at Lam Research, and about 7,000 of those reside in the GOPS organization, where we just started using, or where we're using Workboard. So about 40% of Lam is using Workboard. So this is our team. So we've got within GOPS and the folks that are using Workboard, we've got Kavya and Jason, who are here representing our order fulfillment team. Myself and Patty Teamer represent our supply chain team. And then we have Jessica from logistics, and Jennifer, who was here earlier, is from our spares operations team. And unfortunately, our manufacturing rep couldn't make it for this presentation, but he's well represented by Kavya and Jason. Okay, so as I was putting this message together, and we've talked a lot about it at this conference, because a strategy is important. It really is. But what is a strategy? It's an idea, right? It's something that we want to go do. It's the what, and maybe the why. But what's most important is the how. How do we execute against that strategy? This is what I love about this tool. As Samara introduced me, I've been in operations, been doing operations a long time. I'm a rubber meets the road kind of guy. I want to know how we're going to get it done. Like, how are we going to drive KRs to achieve those strategies, to achieve the strategies that we need to achieve as a company? So this quote really resonated with me, and why I love Workboard, because it's an excellent tool, as we've all talked about and shared while we've been here. It's an excellent tool for executing strategy and having that accountability to drive that strategy. All right, so why did Lam adopt Workboard? I'll let you guys read the bullet, but I actually tracked Denise down after her presentation, because if you guys remember, I absolutely loved her slide. When she talked about why they adopted it at Cisco, she showed all the different Excel spreadsheets cascading down and all the different lines and how there was all this like chaos and people trying to coordinate. That was happening at Lam too. We would go into our strategic planning sessions and we'd have a team bring in their PowerPoint. We'd have another team bring in their Excel. And we'd have another team bring in a Word document. And then somebody had to compile all that and pull it all together. And then have like the shared file to take to the QBR, or in our case, QOR, IOR. And it was always the program manager, and raise your hands if you've experienced this. There was a program manager that had the Excel file that had all the formulas that you were supposed to put your data in that was shared. And then you'd go in and put your data in and find out the link's broken, and then they have to send you an email, and then you'd have to find the email and figure out like what you need to go do. So it's just a little bit of organized chaos. So we had the same problem that Denise shared for Cisco. We had that very same problem at Lam Research. So we recognized quickly we need something that will create transparency in the organization, get us speed to solution, have a single source of truth where everything goes, where everybody knows to go to, increase our accountability. And Jason will talk when we get to our journey piece. Jason will talk a little bit about how we're leveraging Workboard to drive accountability within Lam Research to achieve our strategies. and increase our team's visibility. One of the things that we try to do at Lamb Research, and this is difficult, especially for executives, like they always talk about it, but they're the worst at doing it, is embracing the red. We have to learn to embrace the red. The one thing that Workboard has done for us is as we're using it in our accountability sessions and the teams have their scorecards, we can really get executive buy-in and support of, hey, we're not going to achieve this key result that we really need to drive this objective unless we get your help. Like, this is red, we need your help. And one of the great things that Workboard does, we talked a lot about the methods and the tools. It also drives the right conversations in your executive meetings with the executives. They can clearly see, I know the acronyms, keep it simple, right? Keep it simple, stupid, right? That's from the Army too. I was in the Army for a little while as well. But keep it simple. We want to keep it simple for our executives. We want to be able to show them their strategy, the key results. Where we're green, great. Where are we orange, medium confidence, or red, low confidence? And what's the help we need to get from them to achieve those objectives that are very important to them, by the way. And finally, it really connected our organization. We've become the Lamely, as I mentioned, together in our GOPS organization. And we're really well connected. We're starting to share supporting KRs with one another and mirroring things over as one organization is relying on another to get things done, because there's a lot of cross-pollination. There's a lot of things that manufacturing needs from supply chain. There's things that supply chain needs from order fulfillment, et cetera. So we have an opportunity to share and have connected goals, connected KRs within Workboard. Okay, so this is where we get a little bit into our journey, and I'm going to turn it over to Jason really quick. And as we were preparing for this, what we thought would be good is supply chain and logistics have been using Workboard now for about 4 years. So I represent the supply chain organization. And the order fulfillment, manufacturing, and spares ops teams have been using it for 9 months. So Jason's going to talk a little bit about their journey. But much like I talked about on the onset, as we were pulling this material together for this presentation, it was very similar. Like, some of the steps that we took, some of the challenges we had was very similar to everything that we've talked about throughout the course of the last 3 days. But just real quick on our journey and how we started. So when we adopted Workboard in early 2021, the first thing we did is engage leadership. I think the PAX8 team talked about how important it is to get that executive buy-in up front. So we engaged our executive leadership. Then we went out and we trained all of our Workboard and OKR coaches and the platform experts to train the team. And they went out and they defined the OKR. So we were really excited about it. We launched it across the organization, and then bam, we were hit with a supply chain crisis. And literally at the highest levels within the org, like CEO staff, I'm not kidding you guys, you can imagine, we're a manufacturing company, we're supply chain. Literally CEO staff people are on calls. We do hundreds of thousands of parts at Lamb. They're on calls for one part, literally saying things like, get it on a helicopter, get it to this helipad, there's gonna be a truck waiting there to take it to the airport and get it to our customer. I mean, that's how dire the situation was during the supply chain crisis for Lamb. So our OKR momentum slowed in 2022. So we were using Workboard, but we weren't using it as effectively as we could have been. But the good thing for us was the executives recognized the value of Workboard. And as we started to kind of crawl our way out of the supply chain crisis, they quickly realized we need to get refocused and re-energized around using Workboard. So we got recommitted to it in early 2023. We had an all-in approach on it. We started cascading KRs down. We had some L1s and L2s, but we started cascading it down to the L3 level. Now, the pivotal moment for us was we had one of our executives in a review where he saw a director level presenting out, showing his L3 scorecard, and that executive that was 2 levels below our CEO, our top executive in GOPS, was able to tie what he had to deliver to his boss to what was being done at the director level in supply chain. He could see it and go, wow, I can clearly see how this ties directly to what I have to deliver. And it was at that point, he said, I don't know why I'm just doing this in supply chain and logistics. I need to be doing this across my entire org. So at that point, he said, and that's the bottom bullet in the middle there, was driving the right behavior, driving the right conversations, driving the right accountability. He's like, I want this across my entire org. And from that point, he said, we're doing this in all of ops. And that's where Jason comes in. So I'm going to turn it over to Jason.
Thanks, Charles. Okay, can you guys hear me? 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay. So I quickly want to differentiate between the two color fonts. So the gray bullets represent activities from supply chain and logistics, where the green bullets represent activities from manufacturing, order fulfillment, and spares operations. So in Q1 of 2024, we gained executive sponsorship. This is where, we met with our executive sponsors, aligned and documented, what problem are we trying to solve with the work board? What does the ideal state look like? What's the end goal? Perhaps what are some high-level deliverables that will allow us to arrive at our end goal? What's in scope and what's out of scope? The next two bullets, we developed a forum where folks from, say, supply chain or logistics could come in and share their lessons learned, or folks, say, from spares operations, they can also come in who are relatively new on their journey and ask questions and seek guidance. And we also had Mike and Maya, they're a part of those discussions as well. In Q2, we developed an implementation plan. And when I think about rolling out a culture-shifting platform to a global organization, my mind defaults to project management, right? Documenting detailed deliverables, assigning those deliverables, identifying dependencies, and so forth. A few of those dependencies was, one, introducing the platform to a global organization, but also developing different leadership level trainings. Right? So perhaps we want to train our corporate vice president slightly different than we would an individual contributor reporting to, say, an L4. We also hosted OKR brainstorming activities, leveraging those friendly, useful templates in Canvas. Full transparency, most of our L2 and L3 leaders were relatively new to the OKR methodology. So, leveraging those templates in Canvas definitely streamlined that process. And then the last bullet, I know it's the color font's gray, but it does pertain to all 5 of the GOPS organizations. So, implementing Workboard into our executive reviews. So, in May of this year, during a internal operations review, it was the first time that all 5 GOPS organizations presented a biz review out of Workboard. So huge milestone for Lamb Research and the GOPS organization. And then Q3, developing, cadence to validate OKRs. So this was us essentially putting some boundary conditions, some controls around our processes where we're looking at objectives and key results that were published from leaders, just to ensure that, the objective captures, what the intent is and, the key results are in fact measurable, and also providing that feedback to those leaders. Automating key results. So to date, we only have a handful of key results that are automated by way of Power BI. And currently, I think we're in the process of just verifying an auto refresh that occurs every Monday. But we do intend to increase those automations within the next 4 to 5 weeks. So really looking forward to that. And then establishing strategic check-in meetings. This pertains to supply chain specifically. So the executives in supply chain, they establish these strategical check-in meetings with their commodity managers just to ensure that they are fulfilling their ERP commitments on a routine cadence. Okay, so I want to share some challenges and lessons learned. We broke them down into these 4 phases here. So as I mentioned in the previous slide, just gaining executive buy-in. I think, everyone's kind of talked about how difficult change management is. Well, there's a lot of obstacles that are going to be in your place if you're trying to implement this from the bottoms up. So, gaining executive buy-in was definitely essential. And then workboard coaches and pros are critical. When I talked about, creating that project plan and, my team member Kavi and I were looking at all these deliverables and the timelines, it looked quite daunting. And I'll say that, there's strength in numbers and, really bolstering these, our voices of success and getting them up to speed and helping us roll this out to our global organization was definitely critical. And then in the implementation phase, developing OKR, quality OKRs is important. I'm going to say it again, keep it simple, stupid. We didn't use that exact term, but yeah, keep it simple was definitely imperative. And then transitioning the mindset from KPIs to OKRs. So I would say if you look at our OKRs that we've captured in Workboard across GOPS, that it is a 50-50 split between KPIs and true OKRs. But that's okay. I think we are laser focused on not only sustaining our organization, but also improving it. Establishing ops rhythm. So you get to think of how do we take this, this new OKR methodology and this strategical execution strategy and really bolster our existing land management system. And with the help of Maya and Mike, I think we're doing just that. So thank you guys. And then in the execution phase, periodically revisiting OKRs. This is where we're doing retrospective, right? Again, leveraging those templates in Canvas. Reset and reflect, I think, is what it's called. Where we're, looking back at the past quarter or the first half of the year and just talking about, what did we accomplish? What didn't we accomplish and why didn't we accomplish it? And then making those adjustments and ultimately looking ahead. And then use the tool that is right for you. So when I think about this bullet, I think about my staff meetings. And in my staff meetings, I feel like there's always action items that are given out, but very rarely are they captured. And so leveraging the meetings feature in Workboard has been one of the biggest benefits personally for me. It allows me to capture those action items and then send out that meeting summary accordingly. Thank you, Mike. I see you back there. Quickly, I want to talk about some quick wins. So, looking back a year ago, only half of the GOPS organization were tracking their OKRs in Workboard. Whereas today, we've seen an increase of OKR visibility by 2x in the GOPS organization. And as we continue to hire more folks and do more onboarding and begin navigating through this $1 trillion industry ramp, we're going to see this number continuing to increase. A few other significant wins. So another acronym there, global logistics and order fulfillment. Not only did we publish OKRs from the L1 leadership level down to the L3, we also align them. Right, so L3 is aligned to L2 and so forth. With the purpose of every level of the organization knowing how they contribute to the big picture. And then the second one there, global supply chain management executives. I talked a little bit about this. Hosting those strategical accountability meetings with their commodity heads. And then spares operations and digital transformation just have seen a significant increase in accountability and transparency with their L1 and L2 OKRs.
If I could add to that center bullet, one of the things that our GSCM executive team said, they had a listening session recently. This was, I think, like 3 months ago. And they were asked, hey, what do you guys think is working well? Workboard and Workboard accountability was, strategic execution was their number one thing that was working well within GSCM. So.
So in summary, when Charles and I were putting the content together for these slides, we just wanted to highlight, Workboard's value to LAM. So first and foremost, it supports our land management system, right? It gives us, the platform to document our AOP, our annual operating plan asks, and track them throughout the year. Drives cascading accountability. When I was talking about gaining executive buy-in, and really, talking through what problem are we trying to solve with Workboard? It's for, individual contributors, lower level leaders, understanding how their efforts contribute to the success of the organization. And then streamline executive meetings. I've heard this several times. Business reviews being 200-300 pages long. Well, we're able to streamline that with really standardizing our business reviews by way of biz review and just leveraging the visual indicators of a scorecard. So what's next steps on our OKR journey? One, just continuing to publish and cascade OKRs throughout our organization. I think the manufacturing organization has got 7 or 8 leadership levels, if I'm correct. Continuing to automate our key results by way of Power BI and Excel. So we're in the very early stages of that. Establish cadence and accountability for updating OKRs. So I think that's like the challenge that lies ahead. Like that is the biggest challenge right now for us. I think the leadership, they did a fantastic job publishing OKRs. Now we just got to go back in there and update those more frequently. Identify OKR relationships. So cross-functionally, this is us really just breaking down the barriers in GOPS, right? Breaking down those silos, identifying, related dependencies, alignments. I think there's also a few key results that are mirrored now. So supply chain and order fulfillment, they were tracking the same key result. So now they're coming from the same data source. And then, standardizing scorecards and templates. So, when we're presenting to these executives, these scorecards are looking, they look vastly different. So I think there's an opportunity to standardize the formatting of those. And that's all we got. Thank you very much.